Good morning everybody, Car Biker here. Just out on a nice Sunday ride while we've still got a bit of sunshine. Getting to the end of the riding season, as people call it. Not that I really care for the idea of a riding season, I'll just keep riding as long as it's not snowy. Well, it's nice ride. I've been out for about an hour now, just heading home. It's been lovely. And I'm off on a tangent already. I've not even introduced my topic and I'm off on a tangent. My topic today is computery. If you're a subscriber, you probably know how working computer is on the software side of things nowadays. But I used to be, well, I started out actually as a software trainer and then went into support and various other bits and pieces, repairs, that kind of thing. Ooh, it's a good job YouTube hasn't worked out smelly vision yet. Oh, I'll wait behind this horse until we're around the corner. And I thought I'd tell you, oh, it is a bit skittish, isn't it? I thought I'd tell you about a couple of things. One is a misconception, one is actually got quite a lot of truth to it. I thought I'd tell you with a couple of stories. So the one with a bit of truth to it first, yeah, you can wave me on if you like, but until I can see it safe. Okay, so the one with a bit of truth to it first. And I was reminded of this by a programme I was watching the other day. The IT Crowd, I think it is. Very silly, but not bad, you know, kind of amusing. And they have a thing that they do on the phones, and everybody knows it. You get a call, have you tried switching it off and back on again? And it's a bit of a joke, but it actually solves a lot of problems, believe it or not. And we had one guy at the first place I worked where I was doing hardware things. We were selling computers and networks and that kind of thing, and I was doing the training and installing the networks and a bit of support and all this kind of stuff. And we had one guy there. He was actually second in command. He was a sales director, and he'd really taken to heart the turn it off and on again, and it enhanced it somewhat. Now we had this one server that we used to sell, and it was known for having an overheating problem, and then it would start to go a bit weird. I mean, nowadays when things overheat they tend to just turn themselves off because they're monitoring that kind of thing, but back then it would overheat and it would start to do some odd things. And we knew that we had to repair them, so we were changing out fans and things like that on these. Changing out power supplies actually that had the fans in them. And we had one customer that we were getting ready to do it for, but hadn't done it yet. And he rang up and said, "My server's not working properly." Now this guy, Marcelli was called. He took it to a new level. He said, "Okay, right, what I need you to do, and this is very important that you follow this to the letter, is I want you to shut down the server correctly," and he went through the process of that. And he said, "Once you shut it down, I want you to count to 30, and you've got to count slowly. You can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He said, don't count to 10 or 15 or anything like that. It's got to be the full 30. So I want you to actually say 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, all the way through." And he sat there with him on the phone while he did this. Did the whole count to 30. Of course, that gave the machine time to cool down a little bit and sort itself out a bit. So he got to 30. He said, "Right, now you can turn it back on again." So he turned it back on again. And up it comes, and it's all working fine. Now, within a couple of days, we'd actually been out to the site and replaced the power supply. But from that point forwards, apparently, this is what the guy did whenever he had a fault. And I found this out by one day I was on site doing something else, and somebody had done something to the server, I think messed up a permission or something like that. And I said, "Oh, sorry, I'll sort it out." And this guy says, "No, it's okay, I can deal with it." And he runs over to the server, and he shuts it down. I'm just sat there watching it, and then he said, you actually hear him counting. Now I'm hoping he was doing it for my benefit and you know, to prove that he did it properly, rather than he actually counted out loud every time he did it. But he started counting 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and I think she's telling me there's some more horses down here. So he did this and then turned it back on, while I'm trying to fix a permission that I then can't fix because he turned off the server, and it was a single server network system, you know. Anyway, we never told him. We didn't want to embarrass him, so for all I know, he's still doing that to this day. Now the other one, this was again something I saw on TV, and I keep seeing this, and we're 14 years on, but so I should be over it, but it annoys me every time I see it. And this is the year 2000 problem. Now, if you're old enough to remember the year 2000 problem, I think most of my viewers probably are, but I don't know you all personally, so I can't say. So you'll know all about it. But if you don't know all about it, very, very quick. Basically, people used to store, software developers this is, used to store the year of a date in a single byte to save space, because, you know, space wasn't always like it is now, where you can just go out and buy another terabyte or two for 50 quid. Back when I was into computers, when I first started, when I got my first PC, it came with 2 megabytes of memory, and it cost I think it was about £150 to upgrade it to 4. You know, it was very, very expensive, was memory, and disk wasn't much different. I mean, my hard disk was 105 megabytes, not gigabytes, megabytes. And the next version up of the computer, if you wanted to add another kind of 50 or 60 megabytes, was another £100 for that hard disk. So, you know, they weren't by any means cheap. Some people wanted to save memory and disk space, so they'd store the year in 1 byte using 2 digits. Which meant when we got to the year 2000, the number to store was 00. And if your software hadn't been written properly, usually because it was quite old, people didn't expect that the software would be around for, you know, decades. They thought it'd be a few years, but some software hung around for many decades. So what they would do is just stick a 19 on the front of it, and all sorts of things would go wrong because it thought it'd gone from 1999 to 1900 instead of 2000. Now, the thing that I saw on the TV that annoyed me was people talking about the year 2000 problem. And they always talk about it in the same way. They always say, well, that was a lot of nothing, wasn't it? Nothing happened, we were all scared for nothing. Lots of nothings there. And that really annoys me every time. I say I should be over it. Because, actually, there were some problems down to the year 2000, but it wasn't anything horrific in the end. Why wasn't anything horrific? Well, between about 1995 probably and the end of 1999, almost every software developer in the world was fixing it. So I was part of it. I was there fixing things. We had teams of dozens of developers going through software fixing all these problems so that it didn't happen, so the disasters never happened. I was in banking software. I was the one who was making sure that your transactions didn't all suddenly go missing because it thought it was 100 years ago and you lost all your money. And the problems were there. There were problems that would mean you would lose all your money, or it would start rerunning transactions and it would start paying out again and you would lose money that way. We had a set of guys who was working for Adidas, the people who make the sports clothing and what have you, and they had loads of problems. That was a horrendous piece of software. It was written in a language called Business Basic, where you couldn't even name your variables properly. So you had lots of variables called A, B, C. You couldn't have more than one letter, and then you could have A1, A2, A3 through to A9. So you were looking at code that said A equals B plus C plus D multiplied by E plus 1/3 of F. And you had no idea what it meant, but we were still in there trying to fix it. There were comments in the code, but they were all in German. So I got to use a little bit of my GCSE German to try and decipher it. But yeah, it still annoys me now. But hopefully, they say a problem shared is a problem halved. Well, I'm sharing this, hopefully with a few hundred people. A problem shared is a problem given to somebody else to worry about. So, there's my two little stories. Probably waffled on for far too long, so I'll just shut up. And I shall say thank you all for watching. Ride safe, everybody. And I'll talk to you all again soon.